All right, we are all set up. So again, this is not my normal social media basics class. I wanted to tailor it a little bit to give you all some information and just some tips and best practices and do's and don'ts for managing your social media right now. I think it's important that everybody is on the same page with the messaging and the narrative that we're using on social media while we're on these stay-at-home orders and while we kind of work through our current environment. So I'm going to start with that, and I do want, I hope you all will participate. I've got some slides for us to take a look at, and then I really want to get some interaction from you all going on what you're doing right now with your social media, or what you've seen, any questions you might have. Feel free as I'm going along to put any questions in the chat box. You can find that at the bottom of your screen in the middle. There is an icon that says chat. If you click on that, it'll open a window to your right, and you'll be allowed, or you'll be able to type in messages there, and I'll keep an eye on that here as I go through. And then the other tip that I actually learned this week, I'm learning a lot of new stuff, is that on Zoom, I found a really quick and easy way to unmute yourself versus having to find the mute. Unmute. If you want to speak, hold down the space bar on if you're in front of a computer. I know we've got some people on phones, it looks like. But if you're in front of a computer, if you hold down the space bar as you're talking, that will unmute you, and then you let it go when you're done. So that's an easy way to mute and unmute, to ask questions or to participate. So we will get rolling here.
Chris,
Again,
can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Daly.
I don't see where the chat button is.
It should be if you kind of hold your mouse over where my PowerPoint is right now.
Okay, I don't have a mouse. I'm just using my finger.
Okay.
I'm on an iPad Pro.
Tap on, I'll try to walk you through it. Tap on my PowerPoint with your finger, and it should bring up a bar for you at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, let's see.
Options down there to start and stop the video.
It brings it up at the top. Oh, share content. Would that be the chat?
Nope, that's not. There's a button there that says chat. Let me type a test in there and see if it blinks for you.
Oh, I got it. It's under more. It says chat.
There you go. Yep, click on that chat.
So I hit chat, and then I just type away and you get the question, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's get rolling here. Let's talk about social media right now, and I want to start with some don'ts as opposed to starting with the do's. I'm going to start with the don'ts because they're a little heavier, and then we'll get into some do's that I think will be a little bit more positive. But I want to start with the don'ts, and I think it's important to preface this by saying that I've had a lot of conversations, obviously, with the leadership within our company, and then also leadership with KCRAR right now. And yes, you know, right now we're considered an essential, our business is considered essential, but that comes with some grave responsibility. And we had to fight pretty hard to get that, you know, get our continuation of business seen as an essential service in these municipalities. And they're paying really close attention to what we're doing right now, especially in regards to what we're doing on social media. So we have to be really careful right now about the narrative that we're using and what we're posting on social media. So I just want to talk about that when we talk about don'ts here. And this doesn't necessarily apply to normal times, it applies to right now. But let's go through some of these. So social media don'ts right now, we've got to avoid, I know there's some really funny real estate memes and some stuff that people were sharing a couple weeks ago that kind of brought some humor to the situation, but we really need to avoid those. They might be funny to us, but they're really not funny to the masses, and they can honestly offend some people. I'm going to put up on the screen for you. Hopefully it'll show up here. This was a post on March 14th in one of the groups that I'm in. That week was when we were seeing a lot of these posts going around. This is an example of one. First of all, it's a fair housing violation, but second of all, it's just in poor taste right now. You know, we don't want to make it look like we're making light of this situation. So avoid the memes. I know that oftentimes they're pretty humorous and they're funny to us. Share those in your private groups. Don't share them publicly. Right now, we need to avoid any statements. I'm going to give you some examples, and this is really to protect our industry and to make sure that we stay in good status with our, being able to operate in our being deemed an essential business right now. We can't be overly aggressive in our marketing right now, so we need to avoid some statements like it's a great time to buy or sell. Talking about, taking to social media and talking about how rates are low and you should get off the sidelines and take advantage of the market. Using statements like the market is still hot, we're moving right along. Get off the sidelines and buy, get off the sidelines, let's list your house, we've got low inventory. Some other things, there was another line that just popped in my head that I just missed. We can't operate on social media right now as though it's business as usual. It really is not business as usual right now. And if we have that business as usual narrative on social media, they absolutely can take away our ability to work right now. It's happened in other states. It happened in California and it's happened in New York, where their real estate industry is completely shut down. They can't work at all right now. And that's a scary thing. We don't want that to happen here. So we've got to be very careful about the things that we're posting on social media and the narratives and the words that we're using. I've likened it to, or I've used the example a couple times of, we've, as real estate practitioners, everything we do, we shout from the rooftops, and that's always been ingrained in us to do. And we really have to flip that switch off right now. And yes, it's okay to continue to work, and we've got to work in different ways to keep everybody safe, but we really don't need to be shouting from the rooftops right now what we're doing. There's a lot of people that have jobs they view just as essential as ours, and they're not able to work. And it's going to rub people the wrong way if we're giving the impression that we're just continuing on business as usual and not paying attention to this, the circumstances that are going on around us. This was an excerpt from an article that was written last week by Leslie Eversole. And I think that it really sums up what I'm saying pretty well. In regard to talking about the rates being low, you'll see here in the second paragraph that in 2006, there were a lot of agents that were, shouting from the rooftops, it's a great time to buy a house. And we had no idea at that point what was going to happen, in the latter part of 2006, 2007, in regards to rates and values. Right now, there's so much uncertainty in the marketplace. There's so much uncertainty right now with mortgage rates, with our inventory, with the, what's going to happen with the market in the next, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And if we're out there shouting, oh, it's a great time to buy, it's an awesome time to get in the market, it might not be a good time for some people to get into the market. So again, we've got to really, really be careful about what we're saying, and be careful about the marketing message that we're sending out right now, because it's, again, our status can be stripped from us at any given time, and all it's going to take is a couple bad apples, doing things the wrong way, especially on social media. Be cautious, very, very cautious about any of the news and information that you're posting right now. Make sure you double and triple check sources. I've tried to just, as a policy, personal policy, stay away from sharing, any news articles, any, advice as far as medical information, et cetera. Yes, it can provide a great service to people to provide resources. And I get that, but you need to be very, very careful about what you're sharing and the sources that you're sharing it from. And this is true not just now, but always. This is in my original, social media basics presentation, that a lot of marketers right now, a lot of companies use what we call clickbait to get you to click on an article and read it. And I know some practitioners that have gotten kind of burned because they read the headline of an article and they think, oh, that'll be a good one to share. Somebody else that they know has shared it, and they immediately share it, and they never click on it and read it. And what's contained in the article and what the information that's given is not really at all in relation or relative to the headline. So be very careful just in general about when you're sharing content from other sources and resources that you make sure you click on them and actually read it so you know what you're sharing with your audience, and that'll save you a lot of grief. I've said this, I'll say it one more time, hammer it in. It's, you know, we've talked about it's not business as usual right now. David Cooper uses the line all the time, it's business unusual. And I think the same can be said for our social media habits and what we're sharing right now. It's not posting as usual. We really have to be incredibly cautious and very cognizant of the messages that we're putting on social media. The other thing that I just want to highlight real quick, and we're going to talk about a little bit more about these types of things as we get into the original presentation, but a lot of agents are doing these virtual tours now. A lot of those are being shared to privately as buyers, agents are trying to set up showings. Instead of an in-person showing, they're doing these virtual tours. If you have virtual tours that have been shared with you by other agents, please, please, please don't post those without their explicit permission. You have to have permission from the broker to post their somebody else's virtual tours. You have no idea if the seller has permitted those to be publicized. So same is true for in a normal environment with sharing listings. You really need permission. There's some gray area there because of our IDX rules, but you really need permission from the listing agent and their brokerage to post anybody else's listings. And that's especially true right now with all of these virtual tours and virtual showings that are happening. You know, don't think it's an okay time to go into somebody else's listing and take a video of it and post it. You have no idea. You do not have permission from the seller to do that, even if it's your own video of a house. If you're not the listing agent and you haven't gotten permission from them and the seller, don't post it. Don't make those public. All right, I'm going to pause and take any questions or comments from you all. Again, an easy way on Zoom to unmute yourself, if you can't find the unmute button, is to press and hold your space bar as you're talking, and that will unmute you. But I'd love to get, you know, some feedback from you, some questions. I know that I'm throwing a lot of, I feel like I'm being super negative right now. I'm throwing a lot of do nots at you, and we're going to go into the do's next, which I think will be a lot better, but it's worth us just pausing for a minute and having a conversation about these. So I'll stop talking. What do you have?
Well, this is Daly. I was going to say it's okay. I'm just having a virtual 3D video done of my listing, and that will be attached to the listing, and that's okay, correct?
Yeah, that is fine. And if you want to, you're the listing agent on that. And I would absolutely get permission from the seller. Just tell them what you want to do with it, that to market their house, you want to post it on social media, make sure that's okay with them. Because, you know, if we're posting it to our business pages, anybody and everybody can see those virtual tours. So make sure it's okay with the seller, but you're the listing agent. So you've got, you know, you have rights to use your marketing materials.
So I can post that to social media with the seller's permission.
Yes, absolutely you can. Absolutely you can.
I can send it to other agents. They just can't send it out.
They can share it privately with their buyer if they've got a buyer for it. But what we don't want is for them to share it on social media without asking your permission.
Okay.
That gets you that could get you in trouble with KREC and MREC. Any other comments or questions? I know we've got a couple people that are on here, and I know you guys are active on social media. What are you seeing out there? Are you seeing a lot of the don'ts from other agents or in the marketplace? You all are quiet this afternoon.
So Eric Taylor here. So somebody I see posts a lot, he doesn't necessarily say that it's for sale, but he'll post homes and do like little walkthroughs. Now, if I was to ask his permission to reshare those, is that something I'd need to talk to his broker first, or is just getting his confirmation okay?
You can probably just talk to him, but make sure that if it's a property that's not listed, make sure that he has permission from the seller.
Okay.
I guess it just makes me nervous if it's not a property necessarily that he has listed, and he's gone in and taken a video himself and doesn't have permission of the seller, and then he gives permission for you to share it. He never had permission in the first place. Does that make sense?
Right, gotcha.
What we want to try to boil down to is you've got to have permission of the property owner to share videos and pictures and whatnot from inside their home. When there's a listing agent involved, obviously they act as a representative of the seller and grant that permission. And I hope as a listing agent, they're getting permission from the seller before they just tell people, yes, go ahead and post it.
Gotcha,
Do you
thank
have
you.
anything else? All right, I'm going to move on. We're going to talk. Oh, Jana has a question that came through on chat here. She's just agreeing that she's seen quite a few agents doing the business as usual posts, and it is very disappointing. And it's disappointing because honestly, it could shut us all down in the city if that continues and it continues widespread. And I see quite a bit of it, and it frustrates me quite a bit. But if you see that, I mean, we're self-policing, and now it's, you know, I mean, it's very important for us to make sure that we are policing each other. So if you see it, pass it along to your broker. The brokers we've discussed making sure that they're, excuse me, reaching out to on a broker to broker level to kind of put a kibosh on those types of posts. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on here. For those that weren't here at the very beginning, I'm giving my little caveat. I lost my PowerPoint for this whole thing about 45 minutes before the class started. So if I seem scattered or this seems out of order, please accept my apology. Okay, let's talk about best practices right now. We have an incredible opportunity to really be a resource for our communities on social media right now. And so I want to talk about some best practices, and I pulled together some stuff from various sources. This again came from the article that Leslie Eversole wrote, and I just screenshotted and took it directly from hers because I couldn't have said it any better. And we're going to go into detail on some of these and look at another source as well. But she says here, I think the most effective marketing approach today will be acknowledging that lives are being upended in ways none of us could have imagined. Second, establish yourself as a professional, experienced agent who is a reliable source of relevant information. Differentiate yourself as the agent who acts as a trusted advisor and always puts her client's interests first. I think those are pretty good overarching do's right now for social media. We really need to present ourselves as a resource for our communities, as a, as the helpers, as the people who can provide information, and not just about real estate. That's the other important thing to keep in mind here. And we'll touch on that here in the next couple slides. But yesterday, Katie Lance did a webinar. She is a very well-respected person nationally that does a lot of consulting in the real estate world for social media. And so she puts out some pretty good stuff. There's other stuff of hers that I could take it or leave it, but this webinar was pretty good, and I took some of her key takeaways. I've got them on the next couple screens, and I think they're good talking points for us as we talk about things to post and things that we can be doing on social media right now to really help our sphere. I will share this slide with you. I'm going to put the link in the chat. This is going to start playing, which is going to drive me nuts. So I've got to get this closed real quick. I'm going to put the link here in the chat if you want to copy it and paste it somewhere and save it for later. Oops, hold on just a second. But this webinar that she did yesterday is about it's a little bit over an hour long. A lot of it we're going to talk about here in the next couple slides, but she really talks about some do's and don'ts with social media and gives some great examples of these. So some of the key takeaways, one of the biggest points she made was be helpful. Figure out who needs help in your communities. We all, we all work in, I know we've got some people that are from out of Kansas City on this, but for the most part, we all work in the Kansas City area, but really drill down and think about the communities that you serve the most, where you socialize, the organizations, the local organizations that you're involved with, and figure out how you can help them. How can you connect people right now that need help? Are there things that you can be doing to help those in the community that need it most right now? Can you organize some things? I saw the other day, I've seen several of these where some local real estate agents, not necessarily here in town, but across the country, have put together some resources to share out with their sphere about different restaurants in their neighborhoods that are open, the hours that they're open, the menus of what they're offering for delivery or for carry out, curbside pickup. Those are great resources right now that people need. And oftentimes the restaurants don't necessarily have the means or the audience to get that information out. What a great resource to provide, not just for the restaurants to help them, but also for your spheres. If you're not a big, and we're going to talk about, when we get into the original content for this class, we'll talk somewhat about, we're going to talk about Facebook. And I will tell you, one of the biggest tools that I use on Facebook are their groups. It allows you to collaborate and to really get a sense of community with people under the premise of having some similar interests. So I'm in several Facebook groups, whether it be real estate related or community related, but I would recommend that if you're not in those groups, seek those out. I know a lot of neighborhoods have community groups inside of Facebook. If you're not in your neighborhood Facebook group, see if there is one. If there's not, start one. Start one and add your neighbors. That way people can stay connected, especially right now. It's great just for a normal business practice, but it's also really important right now. A couple other takeaways from her. Right now, it doesn't need to be all about business, and I hope that it isn't all about business. Michelle says in the chat that that's an awesome webinar. You probably watched it. Yeah, it was good. It was very good. I took stuff right from her here. I'm plagiarizing her. I can't say it any better. One of the things that she talks about and she spends some time with is it doesn't need to be all about business, and it shouldn't be all about business right now. This is a great opportunity to use social media to connect with your sphere, connect with your current and past clients, engage with them. One of the things that we'll talk about here in a little bit is one of the biggest tips that I have in social media is you cannot use it as a one-way street. Social media is designed to be social. So you can't go onto Facebook and just constantly post and constantly, spew information out to people and then not use it as well to go out and connect with them and to comment on their posts and to create relationships through social. It takes interacting and engaging, not just posting. And this is a great time, as we're all, for the most part, at home, to connect with people and to really take some time using social media to connect with people in your sphere, see what's going on in their lives. It's a great way too to pick up, to have an idea as to what to talk to them about when you pick up the phone and call them. You can say that you saw, the home office that they set up or what their kids are up to. You can stalk people on Facebook. That way, when you pick up the phone and call them, you've got something to talk to them about. And it becomes more about them than it becomes about you. Biggest thing on this page that I want to say is you've got to be reassuring and calm. There's enough panic going on right now in our communities and in the world, and we need more reassuring and calming voices. Don't feed don't feed the panic. She says right here, now is not the time for marketing as usual. And she talks about some ideas. These are beyond just social media and Facebook. And we talked about a few of these on the previous slide, but send texts or calls. Just tell people you're thinking about them. One thing that I did yesterday is I did a quick video with my phone that was somewhat generic, but I sent it out to a couple people I haven't talked to in a while or haven't seen face to face. And I texted the video to them, and it was incredible the amount of responses that I got from just sending out a quick video that said, hey, just thinking about you and wanted to check in and see how you're doing. Is there anything you need? Let me know. I'm happy to help. It went a long way. And you could post stuff like that on Facebook as well. She talks here about, I think she talks on this, it might be the next one, about doing some Facebook Lives. I think that's on the next slide that we'll talk about. Again, she emphasizes using Facebook groups as a way to be helpful, not as a way to sell yourself. I do want to make sure, I know this is included in the email that we sent out the other day, but make sure all of your automation, all of your automated marketing plans, your drip campaigns, make sure all of those are turned off right now. The last thing that you want is for some messaging to go out that was well intended, 2 months ago, for it to be going out, around spring break, and all of a sudden it just doesn't make any sense. So make sure that you've got a handle on what's being sent out and that you turn off anything that's automated right now. Another thing that she says here that I've heard a lot this week, and you probably have seen a lot this week. If you haven't had one with your office, you probably will, but I feel like I've seen more people virtually in the past 2 weeks than I see them in real life in a year, which is, it's kind of odd. I feel even more connected right now to people, even though I can't see them face to face. But every night there's some type of happy hour or get together going on. Host those, host them for your sphere, host them for your Facebook groups, your community. Those are great ways to be a conduit of connection and building that sense of community. Host them for, if you've got kids in school, for your class, the kids' classes, as a way for all the kids to get together and see each other. There's some awesome opportunities right here to really harness the technology that we have at our fingertips to bring people closer together. And, you're not doing that to try to sell yourself or to sell your real estate services. You're really doing it to connect your community, and be a resource for them. This one, she talks about getting on camera. And I know that a lot of us have a propensity to I have the camera turned off right now because I end up making really weird faces when I'm presenting and staring at a computer screen. But this is a great opportunity to get behind the camera and do some videos for social media, whether it's something that's recorded and posted, or if it is a Facebook Live. Another tip that she has on there is consider a Facebook Live. You can use a service called BeLive.tv. It's right there in her second bullet. And basically co-host a Facebook Live with a lender. Talk to them about what's going on today in the mortgage market. Insurance people, use some of our vendors, the inspectors, the appraisers, what do you think your sphere needs right now? Who do they need to hear from? And tap into your resources so you can provide good information for them. Her last point here says use Zoom for group video chats, virtual happy hours with your neighbors. You can also use Google Meet for that as well. That's a great resource that you all have access to for free, that you can help teach people how to do these things. You're almost pros now because you've been on enough of these Zoom classes, and we're doing Google Meets with our offices. So
what was the other thing besides Zoom that you mentioned?
the Google Meets, that's what Annie used on Tuesday daily for her sales meeting. And I've got a couple of videos that are up on Genius and up on the YouTube channel, some tutorials there on how to use those, how to set them up and how to use them. I've got some resources there for you on those. Oh, Michelle, I didn't see the dog. That's awesome though. So Google Meets is different from Zoom in that The platform, the Google Meets platform doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles that Zoom has. It is free if you have Gmail or have G Suite. It's really great. I think it's really great for small groups. I don't think it's great for large groups. You just can't set up your screen to see everybody real well on Google Meets, but it is nice for small groups. You can share your screen. You can now record Google Meets. They last week or the week before, when all of this craziness started, you had to have an enterprise account to be able to record Google Meets, and they had a cap on how many people you could have in it, and they've lifted that. You can now record those as well, which is nice, but you can't do things like, you can't save the chat. So if you're having a meeting, like sales meetings, for example, if there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat, a lot of questions being asked, and you want to save and download the chat, you have to manually copy and paste that. On Zoom, I love using Zoom. I pay for, it's about $15, it's a little less, per month. The free version, there is a free version of Zoom, but the free version of Zoom limits your meetings to 40 minutes. So that's the biggest downside to the free version of Zoom. But it's well worth it for me right now to have the $15 a month version, because I'm able to do all of these and can host as many people as we want to and go as long as we want to and record, which is nice. Okay, so I want to hear from you all on things that you're doing right now on social media, or things that you've seen that are not the don'ts. We talked about the don'ts. Let's talk about the do's. What cool things are you seeing right now on social media, either from stuff you're doing, stuff you've seen from other agents, stuff you've seen from the community? Tell us some good stuff that you've seen going on social media. And don't everybody share at once. You all are quiet. All right. Anyone have anything they want to share?
Do you want us to talk, or do you want us to chat?
If you, yeah, unmute yourself and talk. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you.
Well, I have to be totally open and honest. I don't use social media. So this is going to be an opportunity for me to learn more about it and then to do some things that are appropriate. So that's where I am.
Very good, Daly. I think the next part of the class, when I go into the original social media basics, you'll get some things out of that on how to set up Facebook and how to use it.
Thank you.
So I have a lot of friends that are in the service industry, and so they post a lot of restaurants that are like helping people out, and or bars that are selling their alcohol to pay their employees and whatnot. So just sharing more of those positive notes, and also just to get word out to people that actually need help with like meals and stuff, because that's a big thing, is a lot of families do rely on their kids going to school to get their lunch. So now that's an extra added, thing that they have to pay for.
Absolutely. Those are awesome things to share. Great things to be sharing right now on social media. Is that Scott joining us? I think I just saw his camera come on.
Yes, I have been listening diligently, and I just got to really commend you, Christian. I mean, what you're doing is amazing. I mean, using this time in our industry, what we're going through, to do more virtual and to share more. Christian, I love you and you're amazing. I just got to say it. And you guys are so lucky to have her. I'm a broker out in Vegas, and Christian has graciously allowed us to join in and share, which we are also doing with a lot of your agents. So Christian, you guys are so lucky to have her. I've known her for years. She's like the best. And I honestly wish she was here working with me. But again, just Christian, you guys are lucky to have her. Good job. Love you. Keep it up.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you guys are here joining, because it helps to hear perspectives and helps to hear what's going on in other markets. It's all about sharing right now.
It is. And And I think this is, you know, we're using social media to share. And it's just a matter of just touching base with your clients and just through social media or through a phone call and just saying, hey, how are you?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I had one of my agents in the office yesterday making all of her calls and touching base on social media. And her clients, nobody's doing this. And her clients were so taken aback by saying, by her just calling. And she said to one client who's older and said, hey, do you need anything? I'll personally bring it over to your place. And that's what it's all about. It is
awesome.
Keeping in contact through social media or through verbal, keeping in contact, letting you know that you're there. I'm not talking for real estate, because it all transpires and the end game to real estate, yes, but it's the human factor.
100%. 100%.
Even a roll of toilet paper. Somebody needs a roll of toilet paper. I'm gonna deliver a roll of branded toilet paper.
You just made me choke from laughing so hard. I appreciate that, Scott. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing. Anybody else have anything that they want to share before I move into kind of the meat of the social media basics class, and we'll kind of switch gears and talk about just social media practices in general. But if anybody else has anything to share before we go in that direction, please feel free. Otherwise, I'll keep us moving along here. All right. So let's talk some specifics about social media. We'll kind of change directions here and just talk about social media in general. I focus a lot of this on Facebook. I know a lot of you use Facebook quite a bit. You have other platforms that you use. But for the basics class, I typically focus on Facebook and some best practices, although they can really be applied to any social media platform. We're going to talk about some basics first, just kind of the keys to doing it right. And we've hit on some of those, you know, as we talked in the beginning about some of the do's and don'ts. We've already hit on some of this stuff, but we'll hit on a couple more. I don't know why that just went backwards on me. The first thing that I've got on here is being authentic. You know, social media in general, we all have the friends on social media that you see the posts from them and everything looks like they live in just this perfect little bubble, and it's not authentic. We want to make sure on social media that we're being authentic, that people are having, the whole point of social media is to be social. It's an opportunity for your sphere, for your clients, for even people that don't know you, to get a glimpse into the who the real Christian is, who the real daily is. You know, what happens in your life on a day-to-day basis, and it doesn't always have to be perfect. But the last thing you want is to try to portray something on social media that's not authentic to you or your personality or even the way that you do business. So that's my first tip, is being authentic. And I think that's especially important in the environment today. This obviously goes without saying for today, but again, this is my normal time presentation. You've got to share more than just listings. I know as a real estate agent, you know, for a lot of you, getting on social media, it steps out of your comfort zone. The easy thing to do is just to share listings. That is the last thing that you should be sharing on social media. Most of the people that are in your friend circle, in your sphere on social media, the majority of them could care less about your listings. They want to know more about you. The rule in kind of in general on sharing listings, and this goes for open houses as well, is it's the 90-10 rule. 10% of your posts should be about listings and 90% should be about your community, the things going on, an update on the real estate market. You know, they can be real estate related, but don't just share listings. That's the quickest way for people to ignore you and for your engagement to absolutely bottom out on social media. This is one of my favorite lines. Be share-worthy, not sales-worthy. Again, social media is social. There's nothing worse than the friends that you have on I say Facebook because that's my primary social media source, but it could be Instagram. The friends you have there that all they're trying to do is sell stuff. I have friends, there are people I'm friends with outside of real estate that as soon as I friend them, I'm getting an instant message from them asking me to buy some stuff. I immediately block them and ignore them. I don't want to be rude, but that's not what social media is about. There's specific groups on social media that you can join that are all about that. But in general, don't constantly try to sell to your social media sphere. Be share worthy with what you're sharing, the content that you're providing. You know, there's nothing worse than the posts about, you know, from real estate agents that who's ready to buy and sell. You know, I'm here for it. You've got to be able to package that in a different way for social media. Don't be the used car salesman on social media. Nobody wants that. Be social. Provide value instead of noise. Don't post just to post. Provide something of value. Think about the things that you like, that you want to hear about from your friends on social media, and try to emulate that. Try to post those type of things when you use social media. Sorry, I'm still choking from when Scott made me laugh. Got a little tickle in my throat. Put your consumer point of view first, and I would almost swap out the word consumer with your friends. Put their point of view first. If you don't think it's something that they're going to be interested in, that they're going to find value in, then don't post it. You know, keep it to yourself, keep it to your smaller circles, your smaller groups. We've talked about this earlier. You have to engage, you can't just post. Social media is not a one-way street. If you don't have really good engagement on social media, it's probably because you've been treating it as a billboard and not as a platform to engage with other people. You need to engage almost 3 times more than you post. So when I talk about engaging, I'm talking about going on to not just hitting that like or that favorite or heart button, but actually making comments on other people's posts. That's the way you start conversations with people. Send them a message that says something about, hey, I just saw your Facebook post. You know, I saw that you're getting ready to redo your driveway. I've got a great resource for you if you need it. That's a way to engage. It's a way to provide value to them without being salesworthy, and also engaging with them. You'll notice Facebook has a sneaky way of doing things. You'll notice if you comment or click on somebody's profile, I do it all the time. I'll see things that pop up in my newsfeed and I'll think, I haven't seen anything from them in a long time. I'm going to click on their profile and see what they've been up to. Then all of a sudden in my newsfeed, their posts are popping up all the time. That's Facebook's way of serving up for you what they think that you want to see. If all you're doing is share, or if all you're doing is posting, Facebook is not going to serve your stuff up in other people's feeds. It's going to push your stuff to the bottom. You have to be on there engaging. Include call to actions when you post real estate related stuff. Ask questions. The example that I use on this one is there's an agent that's in our marketplace. She used to be with Keller Williams and she's now with Remax. But she started doing this great thing with her new listing. She put a picture, maybe 2 or 3 up of a new listing. She wouldn't link to MLS. It was typically within a day of it coming on the market. But she turned it into a little game and would say, guess the price. I have this little house coming on in Overland Park. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, you know, cul-de-sac lot. Person closest to the price by 5 o'clock tonight wins a $25 Starbucks gift card. She would have loads of people on there, both real estate people that she's friends with, but also her sphere, trying to guess the value of this house and guess the price. A, she's bringing attention to her new listing in a unique way, but B, she's getting people to engage with her. I can't tell you how much, it never failed. Every time she did this, and she'd do it about once a week, she would have somebody that would comment on there that, you know, a friend of hers that would say, oh my gosh, that's exactly the type of house we've been looking for. Call me, I want to go see it. She'd get business from it without asking for business. She gamifies it. It's a great way to create engagement with your audience. Another thing that I'll say real quick on include the call to actions. For that 10% of the time that you're sharing your listings, Don't include the price. When I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see listings, if the price is there, I scroll really fast. I'm scanning and I see it and I'm like, okay, yeah, probably wouldn't work. If the price isn't there, guess what I do? I stop and I click on the link because I want to know what that listing is priced at. Don't provide all the information. Do a teaser and then link to the listing on the kansascityhomes.com website or your own website. But give them a teaser. Don't give all the information. Give them a reason to click through. Make them pause and stop. Planning and consistency. That is the key to social media, especially if you're going to do a business page. If you have a Facebook page and you don't ever post on it, or you post on it once every 3 months, your posts are not going to be seen. I don't care if you have 2 friends or 2,000 friends, your post will not be seen. It's part of Facebook's algorithm and it's part of their back end deal. The more consistent you are, and there is a balance to this. If you post every 2 hours, they're probably not going to serve your stuff up either. You can't be annoying, but you need to be consistent. If you're not consistent, your audience is not going to see your posts. You've got to be doing it on a regular basis. And I understand that we all get busy and it's tough. Right now is a great time to sit down when we've got some time and to come up with a social media strategy and a plan. In my social media 2.0 class, and I'll try to offer that soon, I go into depth on your content generation and how to set up a social media calendar. There are some resources at the end of this, in a couple slides here, on great places that you can find social media calendars. I will tell you what, you're going to roll your eyes, but Pinterest, go on Pinterest and Google and search for a real estate social media calendar, and you'll get hundreds that come up. And it'll give you great ideas as to what types of things that you can be posting on Facebook that are not listings, that are not the who wants to buy and sell a house today. They're good quality, you know, there's some good quality stuff out there. You just have to find it, and you've got to plan ahead. If you have a Facebook business page, one of the beauties of it is that you can schedule posts. So you can sit down on a Sunday and, you know, sit down with your social media calendar and say, okay, you know, Monday, my topic is going to be this, Tuesday it's going to be that, you know, Thursday this, and you can plan all of that out and set it all up to post automatically for you throughout the week. Now, I will say right now, I would not do that. Unless it's something that's very generic that you're posting. Things are changing so rapidly in our environment that you don't want to plan too far out right now and automate that stuff as much as you would under normal circumstances. But Facebook and there's some other tools as well that have some great ways to be able to automate and plan ahead, even if it's only for a couple days. But that way you're not having to really sit down and find the content and think about it on a daily basis. You know, spend a couple hours, you know, an hour or two a week planning it out. But you've got to plan. You got to plan. Okay, so some tips for Facebook specifically when you are sharing content. We've talked about kind of the back end of Facebook and ways you get ignored. Make sure what you are sharing on Facebook, if you're going to create your own content, your own images, etc., make sure that your images and content are optimized for the social media platform that you're going to post to, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Make sure everything is sized correctly. That's the beauty of Canva. If you're using Canva, is that a lot of the templates that marketing has shared with you and stuff you can create, you basically start with the size. So they have all the sizes in there for, you know, whether you're doing a Facebook cover photo or a post, a Twitter post, Twitter cover photos, all those sizes are a little bit different. So make sure whatever you're sharing is optimized for social media. What you don't want to do on Facebook, and I see it all the time, is share an 8.5 by 11 flyer. Because when it comes up on people's news feeds, typically they're looking on mobile devices, it looks tiny or it's zoomed in so much that they can't even tell what it is. So you've got to optimize everything, the sizes for the platform that you're using. And then I try to condense this as down as far as I can, but I'll kind of explain what I'm talking about in regard to original content. If you are going to share content, I'm going to provide a lot of content resources for you. But and I said it earlier, make sure you're clicking through on links to make sure that what you're sharing is appropriate and it's authentic to you. Don't get caught up in the clickbait titles of some of these articles. Make sure you click through and see what you're posting. The best thing to do is to click through and to share it from the original source. So instead of sharing what somebody else has shared, go to the original source and share from there, or copy and paste the link into a new post. If you start sharing what other people have shared over and over, Facebook will view that as not original content and they'll push your stuff down in people's news feeds. It won't show up as often. Does that make sense? Does anybody have questions? I've done a really bad job about stopping for questions. Feel free to just interrupt me. The other thing, and I'll talk in relation especially to Canva, is there is an option in Canva where you can share your designs there directly into Facebook. You need to download those and then upload it into Facebook so it's viewed as your original content. When you post some stuff from third parties, again, Facebook will bury it or they won't show it in news feeds. I couldn't figure out the first couple times I shared from Canva to one of our office pages why I was getting zero engagement on it, and it was because I was posting directly from Canva versus downloading and re-uploading. So just a tip for you. And then use the tools that are available for you. I'm going to show you, I think it's my next slide. Again, my slides are so discombobulated right now. We have an awesome tool now available with BHG. I don't know if any of you were on Patrick's class this morning about Greenhouse, but when I popped in, he was showing the social media tool. I want to show that to you all. This is a preview of it, but I'm going to go out of the presentation here, and I'm going to show you this incredible tool that you now have access to through BHG. This is free. I'll show you how you get there. In Greenhouse, if you're on the home page, I just got a notification that my internet is unstable, so we'll see if, and you pair that with Greenhouse and it could blow up. We'll see, but I'll show you how you get here, how you get to this social tool. Under marketing, on the left-hand side, and then social media, you click on the social media tool. Then maybe this will open. There we go. And then right here, the go-to social tool. The first time it might ask you to set up login credentials. And you're gonna have to, I would recommend, there's a couple of classes that are available through BHGRE to learn this social media tool. I'm not gonna go into detail here about how to set all of this up. But this is a tool that is now available to you to basically harness in all of this content and be able to share it to Facebook, to Twitter, to your business page, to your personal stuff, really with the click of a button. All of the feeds that BHG has coming in, that Meredith has coming in, you can set up your own feeds. I set up feeds. Oh, they're all gone. The heck? Oh, I know what happened. My feeds are not set up anymore because I changed my last name and we did different login credentials for me. So I have to go back in and reset it all up. But I could put in a feed for instance, I'm going to show you some content resources. A great one is Visit KC. They've got some awesome content about events that are going on in the community. You know, great breakfast spots. They've got some great content there, and you can pull that all into here and feed directly to your Facebook. So I know that's not exactly basics, and I apologize that I'm giving you some advanced stuff here. But I just want to show you one of the tools that you have available to, are you not seeing the screen at all, the BHG social screen? I just saw that in the chat. I know why. Hold on. I'm going to flip this and show it to you. Now do you see it? Okay, good. Very good. I was jabbering for like 5 minutes before somebody told me, you got to use that unmute button. Talk to me. So this is the social tool that you get through the greenhouse. But you can come in here and get all the brand feeds. I'll click on this from the left-hand side here. You've got all of these different topics here that you've got all of these resources coming into this site, and then at a click of a button, you click this share. I don't have mine set up right now. I just realized today that I've got to come back in and reset all this up. But you click that and you can start sharing it right to your social media channels. It's an awesome resource. Great time saver here. Great way to access everything that Meredith and BHG has available to you. Any questions on, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole of the social tool. Yeah.
And I just lost your screen. Oh, I'm back. There we go.
Do you get it? Okay, great.
Yes, thank you.
Any questions about social tool before I go back? Okay, I'm going to try to go back to the PowerPoint. Are you back on the PowerPoint now?
If you're asking me, yes.
Okay, good. Whoever wants to speak up. Thanks, Daly. So here's some content resources for you in relation to the real estate industry. First is the National Association of Realtors. There's some great content in there for consumers. They have they do have a consumer piece to their website that's called House Logic. And I think it's on one of these other, yeah, there it is. House Logic. You can access a lot of great information, you know, anything from design tips to financial information, great articles here in all of these content resources. I'm going to click through and just pull all of these up. I won't talk about every single one of them. I was talking earlier about a content calendar, Grammar Pros. If you've never signed up for their weekly emails, I would highly recommend doing that. I get an email every Sunday from Sheila at Grammar Pros, and it gives me some ideas on things to post that week on social media. So just kind of some idea starters. If you're stuck and you don't know what type of content to share, it's a great service to sign up for. Some months they do have monthly content calendars that are geared towards real estate practitioners. Sometimes they'll offer those for free, not every month, but sometimes you can find those for free. No worries, Scott. I hope to join it if it's still going when I'm done here, so take good notes. I want to show you some examples of some of the content that you could start sharing on social that comes from some of these third parties. This was something that I found. I can't remember what resource I found this in. It might have been on Pinterest, actually. I find so much stuff on Pinterest. I'm a huge user of Pinterest. I don't pin a lot of stuff. I don't use it for business, but I use it to get content. Let me go back. These are great things to share to educate your sphere, especially if you have, I would recommend sharing a lot of this on a personal page, but if you have a business page, these are great types of things to share with your audience to really educate them on social media, or excuse me, on real estate, using social media as your platform. There's a ton of these on Pinterest. There's one for all the terms that we use in real estate. There's some fun ones too. But what a great way to be able to share some content to educate people on the process versus just trying to sell them. I think I've got a couple more slides of some examples. Oh, no, I don't. Oh no, these are examples. This came from Grammar Pros. They've got some great content there that's free. Again, good, valuable information to share with your sphere. And this is, of course, you know, this is you got to put your business hat on. You want to balance stuff like this with stuff going on in the community, personal stuff, etc. This is a great call to action example in a graphic. This came from Grammar Pros as well, and it asked the question, you've got $30,000 to spend on one home update, what will you do? It's amazing what happens to your engagement when you ask questions. Your audience, your sphere, they want to share. People want to participate on social media. Ask questions and it'll be amazing the type of engagement you get. I saw a really good one the other day that's obviously current, and it said, it was kind of fun, but it said, if you had to pick one celebrity to be quarantined with for the next 30 days, who would it be? I couldn't believe how many, and this was somebody that usually doesn't get great engagement on our stuff, but that one had hundreds of comments on it, and some really funny ones too. So try to engage, try to ask questions with your audience. They'll answer. There's some fun memes too. I know we talked about at the beginning about not using these right now. I still wouldn't recommend using these now. And use them, you know, even in normal times. You've got to have, you know, put a filter on. Make sure that they're appropriate. There are some out there that are not the most appropriate. I thought that one was pretty funny. I saw that a couple months ago. So some tips for creating your own content. Look at your life as content. Again, I go back to one of our previous slides. People want to get to know more about you. They want to know what Scott's life is like on a daily basis. They want to know the types of things you're up to. They know that you sell real estate. Tell them what your life is like. Share, you know, use your life as content. There was a, I'm going to show, well, no, I'm not, because then I have to share my other screen. It actually came up today in my memories, but a couple years ago, I had to go buy a listing that had a, there was a loose board on a deck, and the buyers weren't going to close because there was a loose board on the deck. I had an elderly seller who had already moved out and moved into a retirement community, and I'm in high heels and I carry a toolbox in my car. And so there I am in my high heels, all dressed up, hammering this board back into a deck. I took a picture, you know, posted it on Facebook, did a hashtag, you know, crazy realtor life, and had, I can't even tell you how many comments and likes on that post. It was a fun post. It was, you know, also reminded people that I was a real estate agent, but in a very passive way, in a very non-aggressive. I wasn't trying to sell anybody. But it was a way for me to remind them that I was in real estate and that I'm out doing stuff. We talked about this earlier. Batch create your content. If you've got some time, you know, try to set aside about an hour or two every week to look at, you know, get a social media calendar together, plan it out. And then you don't have to do this every day. If you just sit down for an hour or two at the beginning of the week or the end of the week for the next week, and go out and use some of your content resources, find your content, get it scheduled, and you're done. Don't be afraid to use video, especially right now, but use video. And if you're having a great hair day, you can record more than one video. Record several, just change your shirt and your earrings. Or for you men, just change your shirt, change the background that you're using. But if you're in the mood to do video, if you're feeling pretty good, record several of them. You don't have to basically create a library of them. You don't have to share them all at once, but do what you can to kind of create a library of content. And then of course, use the tools that are available to you. We've got lots of tools available to us to create content. Your phone is one of your best sources for pictures, for video, for everything that you want to share on Facebook, on social media. You've got the tools at your fingertips. This slide, we talk about, you know, when we talk about content, I want you to think of it in different buckets and a variety of your content. You've got to have some variety. Again, we don't want everything to be listings. We don't want everything to be about the, you know, financial world, the market right now. We want to mix it up a little bit. So I give you some ideas here on this slide about some different sources, different streams of content, different ideas for content, but mix it up. Oh, let me go back. this slide is really, it's going to get really busy as I click all of these things on. But a lot of these are free that you have at your fingertips. Some of them you do have to pay a monthly fee for. A lot of them do have free versions to them. They're just somewhat limited. But here's some resources for you to find graphics and photos. The greenhouse, we have access to an awesome photo library in the greenhouse. Use Canva. There's another one, there's an app that I use called WordSwag where I can take pictures that I've taken with my phone and put words over it. This is a way to create content for your social media channels. Create your own content. I've got some resources up here to do videos. Your phone is probably your best resource for this. Using Facebook Live and Instagram TV. Make sure if you're going to use Facebook Live, you've practiced. Try, do a dry run. I'm not saying every time you go and do it, but for your first one, practice so you know what buttons to hit to stop it. Those are always hilarious. I can tell when people have never done a Facebook Live because there's about 5 seconds at the end of their video where they can't figure out how to stop the video. Lumen 5 is an awesome website to create amazing videos with using articles, using press releases, being able to put your own pictures in there and set it to music, and it's pretty user friendly and it's free. Splice is another great, it's a video app to splice together videos or to trim down videos. Again, not all the stuff is basic. Some of these can get pretty techy. And then I've got some blogging resources in here too. Some final takeaways for you. Again, be authentic. Engage with your sphere. Social media is meant to be social. It is not a one-way street. And embrace the resources that you have access to. There are so many resources that we have access to through Kansas City Homes, through BHGRE, through the membership that you have to different associations in real estate. It's incredible what we have at our fingertips, and we just have to use it. I'll open up the floor now. I know we finished a little bit early for you to ask any questions or talk through anything in regards to anything I've talked about or anything you're struggling with social media.
I had a quick question about, so like I had uploaded a picture from Canva, like you said, onto Facebook, and it had said that it came from Canva. If you do that with those greenhouse resources that you were showing us, would that do the same when you click that share button?
Some of it does. It depends on what the resource is. If it is if it's original content that they've put up there, so it's an article straight from Better Homes and Gardens magazine. Actually, I take that back as I think this through. I think when it gets posted onto social, it says that it's coming from the BHGRE social tool. I've got to look into that a little bit further for you, Eric.
Okay.
And see how those are treated and see if that drops off any engagement if you post right from there. I don't think that it does. There's a lot of people that use that swear by it, and they wouldn't use it if it dropped off their engagement.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions? I hope you got some good information today. I apologize. I didn't cover everything that I normally cover in this class. I was a little frazzled when I lost that PowerPoint. Some of the detail that I usually go into on the social media basics were lost. But hopefully I was able to cover enough for you and give you some good ideas to get you started or to keep you going on social media.
And you said these are, you've got it recorded on a YouTube?
I did, yes. I recorded this session, and once we're done and I'm able to access the recording, I'll get it put up on YouTube.
Okay, perfect. Well, I personally appreciate the insight. This has been very helpful, Christian. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining.
I can say the same thing. I think this was a great overview for me. And now I need to decide what's the one thing I want to start on. Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's one of the things that I recommend is I've thrown a lot at you. Pick one thing to focus on and one thing to learn at a time, and then just keep building on that. Janet, it's great. I'll type it in the comment box here. It's Grammar Pros. But I sign up for their weekly. I think I had signed up at some point. You had to put an email address in to download something from them, and I now get a weekly email from them, and it's actually really valuable stuff. It's good stuff that they send, and they've got some good free content on their site too.